Hi, Vincent Everts. We're here at CIO Day, and do we have a lot of fun here? We just have fantastic speakers, really interesting stuff, and it's made possible by Verizon CIO DTV. And I have Aloys Kregting. Aloys Kregting.
Yeah.
Aloys Kregting. I know him already for a long time. He's been CIO of the Year for 2 years in a row, and he's going to go through a transformation in the meantime. And we have Alexander
Schlager.
Schlager. Oh, that's very German too. And Alexander is in charge of DAUG. I think that's how it's called. DAUG.
DAUG,
and that means you're at Verizon. You're responsible for Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and the Netherlands is not even in that DAUG.
This is why we need to find a new name. That's our current project.
Yeah, so Holland is a little bit of an afterthought, which is added to your territory.
It's a privilege to have Holland in our team.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I mean, you've just been in that role, right? Since how long have you been responsible?
Since 2 years.
Okay, and Holland, if you compared it to the big German area, what percentage of business is that for Verizon?
In sense of my region, around 35%.
Yeah, so even though we are at teeny percent, you're pretty big in Holland.
Yes, we
compared
are.
to the
we
German region.
Correct, yeah. We have been very successful and have been privileged to be part of a lot of digital transformation stories with our customers.
Yeah.
So there's a lot we can learn from our Dutch colleagues, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so how has it been if we always love the Germans together with the Dutch, we always are big friends and we always love to do unite things. How would you characterize the Dutch colleagues, the Dutch Verizon, the Dutch customers compared to the Germans?
Oh, not that dissimilar, very, very focused, engineering minded. And for me it's easier because I'm Austrian, so I can look at the side and see how both teams interact.
Yeah.
No, it's actually very similar. High demand on quality. So, the first project we started together with both teams, they worked pretty well, and we're very satisfied with the progress.
Wonderful. Aloys, you're going to do your own digital transformation thing, because we know you as a DSM, an enthusiastic DSM innovator.
Yep.
You got rewarded 2 times the CIO of the Year, and now you're going to make another change. What is that change going to be?
Yeah, basically I was asked to join Akzo Nobel, which is another beautiful company here in the Netherlands, also global, and they have
also chemical.
Yeah, also chemical indeed, and they really want to take next step in the digital world. So of course, on one hand, how can we do things in the most efficient way, but also how can we let the business grow?
Yeah,
I mean that's cool stuff, of course.
Yeah, so you can innovate. So if we first look back in your career, before that you worked for
Numico.
Yeah?
Numico, yeah.
And in that also you worked with Verizon as a supplier.
Yeah,
in
that's right. That's right.
What was your experience with them? That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
So how they developed? How was it in that time?
Yeah, thanks for rubbing that in. That it was a long time ago. Now, I think when I look back at that period of time, we had huge problems in our data center area, and we were using Verizon actually also for our wide area network. And we had to take a very quick decision to move from one data center to the other. Mm-hmm. And we did it in 1 weekend. We moved all our equipment away, and we have asked Verizon, could we actually put all our data center equipment in your data center? And they said, yeah, sure, why not? Because you're already a valued customer. And so in the middle of the Friday evening, we did put everything in a truck, actually 2 trucks to spread the risk a little bit.
Yeah.
And 2 trucks were driving towards the Verizon data center. And all
Pretty
the computers,
scary.
it's
Pretty
so scary.
Yeah.
All the applications and data of Numico was in those 2 trucks. So if they would have had an accident or fell over, we would be totally...
Weeks. It would take weeks to restore
at
everything.
Least, maybe months even.
Oh my God,
so,
what a nightmare.
We were there, so you slowly were driving out on pallets the whole storage racks, because we had only a few days. So we did not even dismount all these racks, we just put the whole racks back into the data center, and then you unscrew the little wheels, quick, and as soon as they touch the ground, then you know you're safe. Yeah. And there was a great collaboration with Verizon, and actually Sunday morning, everything worked again, everything. And then
so those experiences, they build trust.
Well, they make your life 2 years shorter, your life expectancy, but yeah, it worked.
And you're going to work together again, right? At Akzo is also a client of Verizon, so you're going to work together again. How is the working together of, if you're a CIO, I mean, your suppliers are not only you know, they have to be your friends where you can trust on, and you have to have a good relationship, or you have to throw them out. How does that work for you? What are suppliers for you?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I have the most standard approach to this. So a lot of people, they try to make a contract and they sign a service level agreement. Yeah, and then they do a service level agreement reporting. But I think that's a very poor form of collaborating. Because basically what you do is you switch off one brain half from the first day you work together. Because suppose you manage your own team, then of course people develop kilo software or so many lines of network. But on top of it, you notice whether people are happy in what they do, whether they are proud of what they deliver, or that they are miserable, or they complain about something. And if and as a manager, you need to manage those both brain halves.
Yeah.
Now, normally when you outsource something, we apparently are totally okay to switch off, and you only measure the kilo of software and the kilometers of network that people provide.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that. So of course, contracts and SLAs are important, but I prefer not to look at those. I prefer to have a discussion to say what is the added value that you can deliver me, and how can you still make a healthy sandwich on that service. And
it's interesting because I just had this morning I had the VP of Verizon who was into software-defined networking, and she was saying the same thing. She said, we always come in and we have all these quotations we have to do and these things, but our job is to figure out smarter ways and take one step further. But that's, Alexander, that must have been really difficult to get that trust, that you have that kind of relationship, because it's also very easy for a salesman to say, well, I know I have this relationship of trust, so he won't go away, and I will take it. How do you keep that culture of trust and working together? How do you try to promote that inside the company?
Well, really liked your explanation. You know, we can be supplier or we can be partner. And it's never about just delivering a piece of network or a piece of software or a piece of security, then I'm a supplier. But if I manage to support my clients in their digital transformation by providing innovative solutions, such as software-defined networks, and also giving my clients a playground, if you like, a sandbox, right? To test new technologies and to venture into new areas, then this over time builds trust, because I can provide these resources.
Yeah, but I mean that is something you have to build longer than 3 months.
Correct. That takes time.
A year. So how do you build? Where does that live as a strategy in the company to build on long-term trust?
Right.
Instead of every 3 months to get results.
No, it's a long-term development, right? So trust is something obviously that takes time to build. And we see many clients that are clients with Verizon since 10, 12 years that came of that legacy IT understanding where we were providing, standard networks. And over the time, we became a trusted partner, and they invite us to be part of their journey in sense of, digital transformation and getting to the next generation of technology. So, it is not about stepping in the first time, the first day.
But how is that? Why do some companies, if you do at Oracle, they don't have that approach, right? No. They are ready to kill the customer to make more money. I mean, I'm just saying it a little bit more. How do you see, which company has that culture and which company has the other culture? Because...
That's a good question. I think the majority of the companies in the IT industry actually go for maximizing let's say, the sales of the customer, and then preferably also short term. So they have their quarter results, and so therefore they try to milk you out. Or squeeze you out like a lemon.
Milk you out. We as farmers, Dutch, we love that expression.
Exactly. But if you milk too much, then there's nothing left to milk. So also cows have their limits.
So which partners have you seen which work like that, more long-term oriented?
I think what I typically see at the moment is that the Asian-based companies, it's also in their culture to work on a long-term relationship. And the relationships that we have there actually are developing like that. Because building on what you just said, because I totally agree with what you just said, you need to build that relationship with your customer. But on top of it, and this is where the real distinction is going to be made right now, is that also the vendors need to be able to collaborate with trust with the other vendors in the ecosystem. And this is very difficult for almost all vendors at the moment.
Okay, so that's the second. That's the second level. First, a relationship between me and the vendor, but I'm totally dependent on all these vendors
and you see,
working in trust together and not trying to squeeze each other out.
Exactly, and what I see Verizon did very well in the past, and I don't know if that's still the case. We will find out soon again. But you don't hide your failures. So because we as a customer, but also the vendor, are screwing up things. Hopefully. Because if you don't screw up things, you don't go fast enough.
Yeah. You don't learn.
But a lot of companies see is that they try to hide it or they already sometimes see it coming, that they are preparing to blame you for the mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you didn't put enough details in the RFP and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then you know, okay, it takes 1 more month and we're going to be screwed again.
Yeah.
And then you also know that the relationship is over. It's the beginning of the end. With me at least. Yeah.
You just
and that damage is actually quite permanent because you cannot undo that because you know trust comes by foot and leads by horse.
Yeah.
So that's life.
Yeah, that's totally true. So the composition of the vendors who need to work together in the ecosystem is very important in the role of a CIO.
Yes.
And you don't do that by putting on a quotation.
No.
And then saying what's the lowest price. So how do you do that then?
Yeah, exactly. Well, price is one parameter where you make a choice on.
Yeah.
But you also look at things like culture, size, but also the leadership, for example. Sometimes we made a decision not to go for a certain company because we didn't trust the leadership. Or sometimes.
So you evaluate the leadership of the companies you sign a contract with.
Yeah. It's very important because if you know that a certain company has actually the culture to squeeze you out like a lemon, that may be not a good basis.
And that is also, if you go ask other customers, it is known. How do you deal with that, Alex? To constantly evaluate what is my reputation at all these clients. How do you do that? We normally have this score, this recommendation score. Well, how do you do that?
Well, we have the standard mechanisms like customer loyalty and net promoter score that a lot of companies use that. But beyond that, it's feedback like this that tells us, do we have and do we develop the right culture?
Yeah, I saw you glowing in the dark. I mean, you were going, you were just sitting there. Well, Alex, I mean, if you have clients talking about you like that, you're in good shape.
Absolutely, yes, and we really appreciate this very positive feedback.
Yeah.
But of course, not all our client relationships are of that quality, and that's our constant drive, to make it our standard.
But you need to get feedback back. You need to get that because salespeople will do anything. I mean, normal salespeople will lie and cheat, do anything to get their short-term bonus.
Well, I can't sign that for
not
Verizon.
Not for Verizon, for all the salespeople except Verizon. But I mean, how do you do that in an incentive scheme, in a culture, in leadership? It's so easy to go for the short-term kill.
Leading by example. So we mentioned trust before. If I have a trust relationship, my customer will tell me very bluntly into my face, this is not acceptable and this is what we don't like. And this is feedback I can work with. And working with that feedback, our teams will see that.
But Oracle gets the same. Oracle gets a lot of high-end CIOs who tell them in no uncertain terms how they don't appreciate to be treated like a lemon, to be milked out. So what is different from your systems, your incentive schemes, that you are able to concentrate for a longer time on building customers?
The focus on solutions. The focus on solutions and on our customers individually. So you could say, every customer is a network customer. That's, one statement. You could also say every customer in the full context of our portfolio with security, professional services, has its own very specific solution. We will never be 100% off-the-shelf product company like Oracle to a certain extent is. So there's always a solutioning part that makes us very individual in the way we interact with our customer.
Okay. Hey, what are the challenges for all of us in our system? This whole digital transformation stuff, right? I mean, you're going now to Akzo. What is your challenge for the next couple of years when you come there?
I think the biggest challenge is probably almost true for all CIOs and for me for sure as well, is imagination.
Imagination?
Yeah, so I think...
because all these new opportunities, we need to use them in a useful way?
Exactly. And the opportunities are now outweighing the human capability of creating new business models, or to let certain things go how they went in the past. So I think we should also change the role into Chief Imagination Officers. That might be a much better role for us.
Yeah, that's very creative. But we see, I mean, the winner of this year, Sanoma, the guy who was CIO was very busy with putting ICT in the core product, what he sells.
Yeah.
And the guy, the traditional CIO role, you know, he had a director of ICT, workstations, workflow systems, networking, and only to combine those stuff in the product was a separate role. What are you going to do at Akzo? Are you going to be changing the product, or are you going to support all these systems?
I believe without any exception that any business will be digitally remastered. And that's because every business proposition exists out of three flows. One is a physical flow of goods or services.
Yeah.
Second is a monetary flow. And the third is an information flow.
Yeah,
yeah?
True.
And everything is like this.
Everything,
now, sometimes the core product is the information.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a supporting role, and something in the middle. Like if you are insurance or an airline company, then it's somewhere in the middle, because information is really...
And if you're a paint company, then of course, how that paint is made is essential to, you know, if
I can give you a really nice example about Akzo.
Okay.
Because this is already something that they already do, and I was not even there yet.
Yeah.
So
wow, how could they do it?
So I really need to step up to be able to follow them.
Yeah.
But look what they did. So, for example, Akzo Nobel is producing the best anti-fouling on ships, and that's protecting the ship's hull, right? Yeah. And they are the experts on how this stuff works. Now, what they have now done is they buy the data from the AIoys systems.
Yeah.
So the maritime information, where these ships are, how fast have they gone through which seas. So you actually know when it's the time to renew the anti-fouling.
Oh, okay. So they will help say, hey, come on, you guys have done this and this and this and this.
So our crew is standing by in that harbor, and I know you're undocking, we can combine two things.
Yeah, so it's like with my car. I basically get
exactly.
and you do that kind of stuff. That is really interesting. Yeah.
So always the imagination is the only limiting factor.
Yeah. So, but I mean, you're worrying about how can this asset, this ship, be used practically. For our customers, and you try to have the downtime as little as possible, painless as possible, and that's the next. Winning. Okay.
Yeah. Not paintless, but painless.
Yeah, painless, but with a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Now, you have one huge problem, and I don't know how you're going to solve that. Before you went from Den Haag to Limburg, I don't know where was it? In Sittard, and back, and it was 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And now it's just, you know, it's very close. You only have to go to Amsterdam. What are you going to do with all these hours in the day?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I love to drive all those years to DSM, because again, it's a super company, making a positive impact on this planet. I have more time per day later. This will be in April next year, by the way. Well, part of it I will spend time to bother my wife with all sorts of things. And of course, we're expecting our 5th child in February.
5?
Yeah,
my
sorry
God.
about that.
5. No, it's okay.
Yeah,
but that's a lot of work. That is a lot of work.
The dynamics need to grow a little bit. So if you really take growth,
if
you
are
take it serious,
growth man. You are a growth man.
We need to grow this country more. So let's do it. Come on.
Alexander, if he comes to Akzo, you know he's coming in a couple of months. What are you going to do to prepare him for that beautiful occasion? What are you going to do from Verizon to welcome him there?
Understand the challenges that Akzo faces in, and let me use a word again, apologies, in the digital transformation, right?
Yeah. Well, he had a nice example of
perfect example.
You know, what does the customer of his product need to do it more smoothly?
But the question is, will there be new business models that ultimately need to arise? So for me,
I'll keep it painted for you, and you pay per month for the ship. That would be possible. That would be great.
Sure.
Yeah.
But what's the next step, right? So, you know, in sense of, you could argue we're transforming the last 20 years. So what's the big difference today? Why are we all hyping about, you know, transformation?
Yeah.
And the big difference for me is, in the past we used IT to make our legacy classical business model more effective, right? But now it's IT itself that becomes part of the business model.
Yeah. Wonderful. We're going to see that very much. Guys, I appreciate it very much for coming here.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with your new relationship, the relationship 3.0. And we'll see here, you see two vendors really, or a customer and a vendor working together and after a long time they're doing it again, so see if that's going to be a happy marriage again. This was CIO Day TV, and we're made possible by by Verizon, and we're going to have a little break, and we're going to be back in half an hour after I have all the energy to go through the next 10 speakers, because we have interesting people here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure.